last week I said from quoting from Celebrated Life of the Golden Dragon. Therefore, to be a martial artist also means to be an artist of life. Since life is an ever-going process, one should flow in this process and discover how to actualize and expand oneself. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone in the JKD world who does not think or who does not agree that Jeet Kune Do is most definitely about the ongoing process of evolution. But the question is, or one question is, just how does a JKD practitioner go about doing this ongoing evolution? Who or what does he use as example, role model, or inspiration? So today, let's dive headfirst into this, another hotly debated JKD topic. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast number 147. This is the one about the continued evolution of Jeet Kune Do. As you're logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and feel free to continue doing so throughout the broadcast. If you're catching the final edit video over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support the program, visit jkdrebel.com, click on the Rebel Gear link, and see what we offer. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcasts. So if you look up evolution itself on the internet, this is what you get. In biology, evolution is the change in the characteristics of a species over several generations and relies on the process of natural selection. The theory of evolution is based on the idea that all species are related and gradually change over time. You also get this. Evolution is change in the heritable characteristics of biological populations over successive generations. These characteristics are the expressions of genes that are passed on from parent to offspring during reproduction. What I love about those definitions, internet dictionary definitions, is that they include words which we often use when talking about Jeet Kune Do. But I failed science in O levels, but I did pass English at A level, so I think that I qualified to take a stab at this, right? So some more science. Anagenesis is the gradual evolution of a species that continues to exist as an interbreeding population, right? To me, this sounds like what we'd get when people cross-train with people from the different eras of Bruce Lee's time, the different Jeet Kune Do eras. Now, contrast anagenesis with cladogenesis, which occurs when there is a branching or splitting leading to two or more lineages and resulting in separate species. This is what happened when we got the coining of all those different terms, the pre-1973 JKD, the original JKD, the JKD matrix, the JKD concepts. When all that talk emerged, that was cladogenesis. Then consider phyletic evolution, an evolutionary change within a lineage as a result of gradual adjustment to environmental stimuli. Now that one I like, right? Phyletic evolution, an evolutionary change within a lineage as a result of gradual adjustment to environmental stimuli. This is what happens when JKD people continue to take an educated look at what is going on in the world of martial arts, and they adapt where and when necessary without the burden of thinking that they're in some way being unnatural in their Jeet Kune Do approach, that they're violating some kind of law or rule about Jeet Kune Do, when really what they're doing is an evolutionary adaptation as a result of adjusting to environmental stimuli. That one's pretty good, I think, right? Bruce Lee's take on the evolution of his art was as a counterpoint to the stasis that he observed in the classical arts. And he considered that stasis to be fixed in time and also to be an unchanging, vain repetitiousness. Another thing we have to keep in mind is that Bruce Lee maintained, and this is a line from The Celebrated Life of the Golden Dragon. Bruce Lee maintained that martial art is ultimately an athletic expression of the dynamic human body. So, can there be any evolution of the art without evolution of the artist? In other words, will the art just move forward of its own accord, or won't the actions of the art's practitioners, won't those actions be the driving force behind this evolution? So, you know that I often like to pick on my early art, Shotokan, whenever we talk about the classical arts. And even though I'm sure that there's a lot in their training routines that remains exactly the same, I would not be surprised to visit a Shotokan school, even my old place in Barbados, and find that they might be using focus mitts and they might be using kick shields, right? Just as I was pleasantly surprised to learn that that now in karate competitions they have like kata application, what we call bunkai in the Okinawan arts, right? So they have competitions for bunkai. So there's evolution even within the traditional arts, right? So now if we agree that the actions of the arts practitioners are the drivers of the arts evolution, then perhaps what we're talking about here is the four, what I call the four etheric bodies of human evolution. So that's on the physical plane, emotional plane, the mental plane, and the spiritual plane. So the physical evolution of the art is probably the most obvious. The physical aspect of anything is almost always the most obvious. The adoption of different training methods, the examination of different combat approaches within and outside the art. So for example, right, because the combat approaches can occur without you going outside of what you consider to be straight ahead rail Jeet Kune Do. So we've all heard of the straight blast, right, which we know was adopted somewhat from Wing Chun. But do we all know that according to people like Bob Bremer and Tim Tackett, there are 2, if not 5 types of straight blast? So that's an example of the physical, right, evolution of the art, staying within the art. Emotional evolution, to apply the JKD concept of simply simplifying, emotional evolution would mean getting the goddamn grip on yourself and stopping all of the stupid put downs of other people's opinions or of other people's approaches. Mental evolution, which is somewhat related to emotional, of course. Mental evolution means undertaking or undergoing an academic study of the art. I tell people all the time, inside and outside of martial arts, so even in regular life, if you want to understand how something came to be, right, the state that it's in today, then you have to ask and answer this question: what came before? Which is another way of saying, excuse me, it's another way of saying study the history. When you do that, when you study the history, for example, if you make a study of the different eras of Jeet Kune Do, then you come away realizing that as Bruce Lee evolved, things changed. The way he trained, the way he thought, the way he taught, and how he taught it, right? So you understand that Seattle era, Oakland era, Los Angeles era, they all just are. They all just were, whatever tense of the verb you want to use. One is not better than the other. They're just what they are or were, whatever tense you want to use for the verb. But this academic study becomes important because, to tell you this, but if you weren't trained in the early days, or if you were not trained by somebody from the early days, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get a good grasp on what JKD is all about. I hate to tell you that, but it's a little bit true. Okay, so let me close with my own observation, my own scientific observation. Right, so we talked about physical, emotional, mental, spiritual evolution, or whatever. Right, this is the psychological evolution. Evidence of evolution is the issue of previously held beliefs, right, or opinions. Once you have been educated in difference, right? So what I mean is, for example, if you have or had an opinion of Dan Inosanto or any other JKD leader, but you were made aware that the information upon which you formed your opinion of Dan Inosanto, if you happen to become aware that you were misinformed or malinformed, then psychological evolution says that you drop that opinion and you move on. All right? Okay, so now just for fun, let me leave you with this. Spend some time looking into the different theories of evolution, right? Checking out things like concepts like common descent, gradualism, the aforementioned anagenesis and versus cladogenesis, right? It's all really interesting when you look at it within the context of JKD discussion and JKD debate. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna leave you with that. I put up the postcard for this, and by the time I looked around, there were like 56 comments on this. So I patted myself on the back for knowing how to pick really debatable and discussable Jeet Kune Do topics, right? Okay, so sign up for notifications for when we go live on Facebook, and subscribe over on the YouTube channels for the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast and also for the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. And when you're there on the YouTube, please make sure to hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. ilovejeetkunዶ.com, the Quick Skills Series Volume 1, still available. Volume 2, it's getting closer to the end of the year, and I'm hoping to be able to produce it by the end of the year. Coming up on Friday, September 25th, Jeet Kune Do Dialogues with Phil Norman of Ghost Elusive Combat and Phil Norman Martial Arts, and we will be doing that 2 hours early. He's in the UK, as most of you know. So that's Friday, September 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern time, right? Today is a beige, brown, or pink day. There you go. How you like me now, right? So I will see some of you on Friday for JKD Dialogues with Phil Norman. Rest of you, hopefully I'll see you next week for another issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Talk soon. Take care.
Hi, this is Matt Newmark here from JKDnewsletter.com, and I am here by the good graces of Tim Tackett and obviously his assistant Jeremy Lynch, and we're going to just get into the first video lesson. So Tim, thank you very much for having us here, and Jeremy, thank you as well.
Okay. Straight blast. A lot of confusion about straight blast, because in reality, when I was learning JKD, Bruce was still alive, and there was actually 5 straight blasts that we learned. And a lot of this comes from Bob Bremer, because he spent a lot of time with Bruce on Sundays. The idea is that when you see the straight blast, it's usually shoulder square, and it's like that, which is actually a Wing Chun straight blast. Nothing wrong with that, but it's a question of distance. What Bob wanted to do, what Bruce told Bob, is you're in close and you want to get the proper distance for the straight lead punch, which is a full snapping punch out this way. And instead of this, Bruce told Bob that with a straight lead punch, it's a little bit better. He learned out right before he left from Hong Kong. And this gave a little bit more structure to the punch, and you could hit with the middle knuckles instead of the bottom two knuckles. So if you lay your fist up here, you'll see that in a vertical punch, you'll see that the little knuckles there. If you turn it this way, you'll see the little knuckle isn't there anymore. Mainly hitting with the middle two knuckles. So what Bruce told Bob, remember, when you're in tight and you want to get the distance, you want to hit with what he called a shorty, which would be the Wing Chun one. And then once you have this distance for the 2-inch penetration of the straight lead or straight rear punch, you want to go from there. So one of the basic ideas, so the first two of the straight blasts are the Wing Chun straight blast, which is shoulder square. Now, we're only going to do that to gain the distance. So once I want a 2-inch penetration on each punch, so it snaps like that. I don't want to push it here. So the shoulders, 1, 2. Now, that should give him enough distance so when he moves back, I can go this way. So instead of, although there's nothing wrong with doing a real quick straight blast, what you want to do is 1, 2, 3. And that should pretty much handle the situation. If it doesn't, if you can't end the fight with that, you probably picked the wrong opponent. So those are the first 2 straight blasts. The next straight blast is actually, Jeremy can demonstrate that with Nyun, and that would be the boxing blast. Once you've hurt him, then you kill him. Okay, so the idea is, once you have intercepted and you've hurt him, if you see Bruce Lee punching the heavy bag in the backyard footage, people say, oh, he's not covering, he's not covering. He wasn't intended, because what he's really doing, he's already hurt the guy. The guy's out, he's just finished. He's working on what's called finishing moves. So the guy's already dazed, he's going to finish it. That's called the boxing blast. So we could, let's say that Nyun comes in and Jeremy does a straight lead punch. After that, he would finish it off with boxing blast. So Nyun would set up Jeremy's fist. Or hooks. All right. So what you do is you set up where you intercept, and then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to then follow up, and he'll do different kinds of things to follow up. Our main idea, what we want to get more than anything else, is a few things done well. So we really focus a lot on power on kicking and power on punching. The fourth blast is actually a back fist blast. So if I was to throw a back fist, boom, here, I would come here with the second one, which would then set up a lopsal. So it wouldn't matter what lead he's in, none of that really matters. I throw a fist and he does it, that boom, right there, okay? We're going to explain in the next little short lesson why none of this really works against Jeet Kune Do, okay? Once somebody really has to get JKD right, this stuff doesn't exactly, progressive indirect attack is well, I'm kind of going off target right here, but let's say Jeremy punches low, and I block here, and then he goes, oh, progressive indirect attack, so he feints, and I go here, and he goes there. Or if I block with this hand, he goes with that hand. Okay, very good, interesting. But what happens if he actually does that punch? I'm just going to intercept him. Okay, anytime it comes with a hand attack, boom, you just break his leg. So once you put the JKD as your opponent, a lot of stuff doesn't work. Okay, so anytime you're learning something, try to go, what is this person, what can he do to me while I'm doing that? He can stop kick, he can stop hit, he can shoot and take you down. That's why it's very important to just don't go out there and start punching somebody. So the back fist blast, get back to that. If he is a blocker, progressive indirect attack will work against a blocker or a runner. This is actually single direct attack, and then I throw the second back fist to trap the arm, okay? And it could be a series of back fists. The fifth straight blast that Bruce worked on was a sliding leverage blast, and that was just used to learn to get more of a fighting spirit, so that when Jeremy punches, I go here, he punches, I go, you just drive him right into the wall. Okay, I don't want to drive him into my garage door though. So simply, when he punches, you just drive him, just like that. So those are the 5 straight blasts. Thus endeth lesson 1.